Market interest is peaking again, and price action is getting cleaner, all whilst volatility is starting to show its hand. This package is the exact environment I like to be in. No rushing, no chasing, just letting the price come to us. This is Bitcoin on Point, where I walk you through the market exactly as I'm seeing it and exactly how I'm planning around it. Now, what's happening underneath the hood? Well, Bitcoin is doing something very familiar. We're not trending aggressively and we're not collapsing either. We are stuck inside what I call a blood zone. And this is where most people get chopped up. Prices are ranging, liquidity is building on both sides, and emotions are what's causing the damage, not the chart. At the same time, there is a structure forming and there is a trade idea starting to develop. Again, nothing is confirmed yet, but the way price is behaving right now is exactly how those good setups begin. So in this video, we're going to break down Bitcoin from the higher time frames all the way down to where the real danger zone actually is and why the blood zone is trapping most traders. I also have an Ethereum setup I'm actively planning around, and I'll update you on the trading challenge and explain exactly how I'm handling risk here. Now, a quick reminder before we go deeper. I'm publicly running a $10,000 to $100,000 trading challenge. No hidden trades, no hindsight calls. Every execution, every idea, every update is shared live in my free Telegram. YouTube is for the structure. Telegram is where the real-time decisions happen. So before we go further, hit that like button. Let's target 20 likes and subscribe. It helps more than you think, and it tells me you want more of these real-time market breakdowns. Now let's talk about what just happened in the background. In the last 4 hours alone, over $133 million worth of short positions were liquidated from the crypto market. And this tells us something very intriguing. It doesn't mean the market is bullish by any means, but it means that positioning was leaning too far one way. And the price has now corrected it. So this is nothing new. Every single time leverage gets crowded, the market reminds everybody who's in control. Now, at the same time, there's also a narrative shift that's starting to form. Young Hoon Kim just said the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is dead and that we may be entering a decade-long super cycle. Now, whether you agree or not doesn't really matter right now. What actually matters is this kind of thinking only shows up when structures start changing. And here's the part no one's really talking about. Tomorrow, the US Senate votes on the crypto market structure bill. This is one of the biggest regulatory moments crypto has seen in years. Not because price will react instantly, but because clarity changes behavior. Institutions don't need bullish headlines. They need rules. So again, this macro doesn't give us the direction today, but it definitely adds pressure, and pressure like this usually resolves after the chart decides what to do, not before it. So that's why I'm still waiting for structure and not reacting to headlines. Now, let's dive into the technicals, because on the Bitcoin 2-day chart, price is clearly inside what I've marked as the buy the blood zone. Now, this zone is defined by a range between 83 and 95k. Price is not trending here. Price is moving sideways, consolidating from the lower end of the range to the higher end of the range. So this is the exact type of environment where price moves up and down inside the box. Both buyers and sellers get chopped, and most people lose by overtrading. The key point on this time frame is not direction. The key point is that the price must liquidate one side of the range before a real move begins. So until either or, one of which, the upper side of the blood zone is taken, or the lower side of the blood zone is taken, it simply remains consolidation. So the 2-day chart is telling us Bitcoin is inside the blood zone, the structure is range bound, and ultimately, patience is required. It's as simple as that. Now, when zooming into the Bitcoin daily, price has pulled down with bearish momentum, but it held the long-term trend line that's been supporting price for quite a long time. And that trend line is the key bullish line. Price has not closed below it. Instead, bearish momentum has slowed down, candles have become more controlled, and price is starting to hold above the trend line. This tells us that sellers are no longer in full control. However, the bias only becomes bullish after the confirmation. So the condition is very clear. A daily close above 91k and the bias shifts bullish. If price fails to close above 91k, the bias remains neutral. After the close, we are not buying immediately. We are waiting for a retracement into the marked green block, and that's roughly around 90 to 91k. This green zone is the decision area. This is where I will look for longs only after confirmation. Until then, we're not chasing, no early entries, and the daily is forming bias, not executing it yet. Now, rolling into the 4-hour chart, this is where price action is currently reacting to the higher time frame structure we just discussed, rather than creating anything new. So we can clearly see that the 88k support level was broken, but that break did not lead to continuation. Instead, price found support from the daily trend line and stabilized. So from here, price started printing higher reactions, downside momentum slowed, and candles became more controlled rather than impulsive. So it tells us that sell pressure, which broke 88k, did not actually follow through. At the same time, price is now moving upwards towards overhead liquidity, and we have two clear areas that are marked. One's around 91.2k and the other's around 92.6k. These are levels, not targets. They are areas where reactions are likely because that is where liquidity sits. So what's important here is structure, not direction, because price is no longer expanding lower, it's not yet breaking higher, and currently sitting in a reaction phase between demand below and liquidity above. So on the 4-hour, there is no confirmation of bullish continuation. There is no confirmation of bearish continuation either. Price is simply responding to levels. So this is the time frame showing us how price is behaving, not what it's about to do. Now, a quick update on the trading challenge. We have no new executions yet, but this is intentional. The account is protected, risk is controlled, and I'm not adding any exposure until structure fully confirms. All trades are executed on weeks, tracked transparently using Profit's precision platform, and shared live in our Telegram. No pressure, no overtrading, and that's because pressure is for tires. Now, let's head over to Ethereum on the daily. Price is now fully tapped into the long-term daily support zone. This is the same support area that has held price multiple times in the past. I say this all the time, and every time price has reacted from here, it has produced at least a meaningful move to the upside. So what we can clearly see here on Ethereum is that price broke the rising trend line with a strong bearish candle. It continued lower and then found acceptance inside the daily support zone. So the support is doing its job right now. And what's important is not that the price actually fell, it's that the price stopped falling where it historically should. From this support, Ethereum has printed a strong bullish reaction, followed by follow-through candles, and then a daily close back above that key level at 2.9k. So this level is critical. The daily close shifts momentum from purely bearish to neutral bullish. And that opens the door for a continuation move if price holds above it. So this is why, in regards to a trade, it's just an idea. It's not a trade yet. The idea itself is pretty simple. If daily support holds and key levels are reclaimed and price stays above this zone, then we're looking for a possible entry. If price continues to hold above this level, the next logical path is a move towards upside resistance, which is marked around 3.2 to 3.225k. But if price fails and closes back below, then the trade idea is completely invalid and the market remains range bound or pretty weak. So on the daily, the bias is forming, the idea does exist, but the execution comes later. Now with that in mind, let's drop into the 4-hour because this is where we read the structure, not necessarily the direction. Earlier, price clearly shifted from bullish to bearish with a change of character, which was followed by a sharp downside move. That bearish structure has played out cleanly, and after it, price entered into a support zone that had not been tapped before, sell-side liquidity was taken, and downside momentum began to slow. So from the support, this is where price started forming higher reactions, volatility decreased, and candles became more controlled. So this tells us that selling pressure is weakening. Not that buyers are in full control yet, but it's definitely weakening. So the most important level on the 4-hour right now is around $3,020 to $3,070. This is where the structure flips or fails. So for Ethereum to turn bullish on the 4-hour, the price needs to close above this key level and hold above it, not just wick above it. And if that happens, the bearish structure is then broken, a bullish change of character is confirmed, and the daily idea trade becomes executable. But if price instead rejects the zone, fails to close above it, or falls back below, all of that la-di-la, then the market is still corrective, not trending. So on the 4-hour, it's not the idea, it's the execution filter, which is used to confirm or invalidate the daily setup. So zooming out, Bitcoin is building inside a blood zone, structure is improving but not confirmed, and Ethereum has the cleanest planned setup. There isn't any forced trades at the moment. Everything is waiting on confirmation. So this is a market that's close to a decision, but not there yet. And patience is what gets us paid. Now, wrapping up the content, if this breakdown helped you in any way, don't forget to like the video because it really helps the channel more than you think. And if you are trading or learning to trade, share this with a trader friend or someone who actually watches the charts and preferably understands patience. Also, make sure you are subscribed and drop a comment below. Tell me what you think happens next from here. I'm intrigued in your response. I read them and I'm always open to different views. If you want to see how I'm actually handling this market in real time though, please join my free Telegram. It's where I share live updates, trade ideas, and the execution when it happens. All my trades are executed on weeks and the performance is tracked transparently using Profits Precision. Everything you need is linked in the description. I appreciate you being here. Stay patient and I'll see you in the next update.